on the Geva Drupon, one such a on the Geva Drupon, one such one such a canto besa, Zamba told the Kiva, told the King, my name, Yapami Biki, the cover at the Churchina for me to watch that chicken churchina, naming me, the making saying, so go on the now, so. What in it? That's Chida Shabbat, the two punes, not the Lamek Chasida Churchis, not for now and drone, for the Jement to the Geshet lap. What in it? Sayat Raski, for young ghosts, curious, should to that for Dipabana at such a chungi, they told new watch on that you know, Zamnos reach on my abores. What that's Ajima Zamnos, taking yours, you know. The Tambo in China. 마송 가능해 지난 카다 치고 지난 소추시야 좀 어디 디디나 대사 되는 요 말에스 어떻게 너무 진짜 지주 했던 거 하고
And so then Kombo Dorjee offered the deer, the dog, and so forth to Milarepa, and and he said, please accept me as your servant and practitioner. I will go home and get provisions from my family, wife, and so forth, and return. And so then Milarepa said to the hunter, it is excellent that you have abandoned negative deeds and you wish to practice the Dharma, but it will be difficult for you to go home and then come back later as you intend. And moreover, the places I wander and stay are never certain. So then he sang this song of realization.
Oh, poor young thing is a true Rebanga, Yasum is a true Conan to come up by some Thompson for him too much. No, you don't get over in Drozami. Some now Sebla to no to someone made to your in Jesus, that's me Yata Pona. No, they can see me just like Yergumi, but Gomla, Yergum, maybe. Yergumi be Gomla Yin, Lunjugan Jebe, Duximi, 2 Imi, Cherato, Nomotunga, Jumta, Soba Kanjum, Sava, those each may just had 2 years Chola Bibat, Major to Chive Das. What I did to Mala Jeta that this identity your mares, Jeton Mara, Julian, and Yamna not my English Chido shows, or Sayatuna Karchuna Sado shows, on Dosi down to Chibo me, so that's a new nose. So and worth for that.
And so then, in essence, Milarepa said in response that their places he stays are never certain. Wherever he stays, he practices, he meditates with undistracted diligence. He eats whatever provision he gets, eats and drinks whatever he gets, and has few desires. So this is a sign that a yogi has diligence. So this was his response.
Oh, the natural one is Lama said that in Balan said it Daniel Chuchi by Mina Kadashi, Chuja, Chian, the Kashu by Shu, Jituji, Chunin, Chin, who made that tell on me. The courty go with Chuja, more than shaking Lomas or the Kato, it's a chobai, Messi and Namchi Chami by Zamba Sambo, the Junior, Tataran, their Dura. Humila Kadachi, Toma Nichula Kadashi, cheese, and going to source, or Taco, Tanomian Chasalaris, Lama, Seton, Sashimbo, Sina, Manandro, Nams to get as a cheat, Anasayaski, the young ghost, Jisu, course, this that Dorjee's, curious, they go, Jizukita, Chuna Chuchikuna, and Nams to Togoyamados. Chuchi Ducale Jaguars, Sama Goyamados, Shankilomano, to San, Scotopchis. Mazet Kalushi Chio Maris, Telechona Zamba Sambote, saying your cigarettes, Tang near Tambo, Chona Tantara dos, near Chona Nam Kadachia, Kada Labja Chia, Tomala Nichana, Labja Siko Center, World Zone.
And so then the hunter said again, you are amazing indeed, but I still will go to my family to say a few words to them and gather a few provisions, and that I will return quickly. So please remain here. And then Milarepa replied, if you really want to practice Dharma from the bottom of your heart, then meeting with your family is pointless. To practice the Dharma by undergoing hardships, you don't need to have any special provisions. All you need is plants and fruits from the trees and so forth. The timing of death of this human life is uncertain. And also there is a danger that the excellent intention that you have right now might change. You should stay here. And before you go to speak with your family first, listen to my advice. So then he sang this song of realization. And so then this is the song. Now listen here, you hunter. The thunder sound is great, but it is empty sound. The rainbow's color is lovely, but it will disappear. The mundane world may seem delightful, but it is just a dream. Sensory pleasures are blissful, but they are the cause of non-virtue. Though compounded things seem permanent, they will quickly disintegrate. Yesterday's things aren't here today. A person with us last year, this year may have died. A good friend may turn into an enemy. Food that's nutritious could turn into poison. Those you care for with kindness fight with you in return. One's own negative action just harms oneself. Among 100 heads, you cherish your own. Among your 10 fingers, the one cut will hurt. Among your family, it's yourself that you cherish. This life is impermanent. You will soon die. It's not good to put off practicing Dharma. The time has come to help yourself. The family you love will propel you into samsara. Now the time has come to follow a guru. You will be joyful in this life and happy in the next. The time has come to practice genuine Dharma. And so then the Theravada Hanta Gompo Dorjee irreversibly turned towards the genuine Dharma and did not go back to his family. He received the instructions from Milarepa and meditated. When he had attained a little bit of experience, he offered it to the Jetsun and said, "Please accept me with compassion and tell me the key instructions for how to continue in practice." Milarepa was pleased and said, "The good qualities of practice are starting to show. Now you should follow these practice instructions." And he sang this song of realization. So, and this is the song of realization, which speaks about practice. To follow a noble guru, supplicate from your heart again and again. When meditating on the yidams and dakinis, meditate clearly on the creation stage again and again. When meditating on death and impermanence, think about death's uncertain time again and again. When meditating on Mahamudra, meditate in short segments again and again. When meditating on beings as your parents, remember their kindness again and again. When meditating on the profound whispered lineage teachings, bring yourself forth with perseverance. To reach the ultimate goal of Dharma, make your practice stable without highs and lows. To see when your views are concordant with Dharma, without doing different things, bring it all into one point. To reap the harvest of the sublime Dharma, abandon every last worldly activity. Provisions will be offered by the deities, so don't accumulate things through unwholesome deeds. Do not become rich by hoarding like a miser. This is the samaya of the dakinis. Therefore, give up such intentions and actions, and with your mind, let go of this life.
Then that he zone want the Dhamma Boba non the Bombay, Nyam Tong Tarchiba, Chiva, Chirari, Chiva, Tuxi Chung, Chitan Shava, Tenet Sonde, Mianson, Dunga, Chua, Pupa, Tenachira, and Daju, to Tata Yanjiva, you big Yuki, Nisan, Nishan, Gorsa, Tuxi, Chirari, Banji for us, Mazon.
And so then Milarepa bestowed all the abhishekas, the empowerments, and key instructions in a complete and perfect way. Through meditating on them, the man perfected his experience and realization. He became known as Chirarepa, one of the hard sons of the Jetsun. From that time forth as well, the deer and the dog were liberated from the suffering of the lower realms. It is also said that the bow and arrow the hunter offered remain at that cave to this day. This is the cycle of meeting Chirarepa, the hard son of Milarepa, at Nishan Gudra.
Then Kogum Jerwood, choosing selling it, Latavi, Chera, and you course, what are the Kogum Jerwas and the Bali Jerwood? What he then was about it, just then the period of Jelly in the rock. What is selling market? I'll turn to that is the dance or what he got. What in your book or is that the remark?
So then we move on to the next chapter, which is number 27. It is the offering of the Kokom king and the scrutiny of Tseringma. The Kokom king was a king of Nepal. And what will then later become apparent in the story is that he was that king that invited Milarepa to visit, but Milarepa declined. And also in the song, Tseringma performed all kinds of magical apparitions.
Namo Guru Jisu Milarepa, Nishan, Nishan, the Gadapo, the Zunchi, Shobe Chu, Nature Hubets, Nishan Shira, Angashon, Jisu Zongi, Shoba, the Datana, Shobe, Kona, Tesom, so the Jade, Reche in a Gun Cho, some Larian, Yon, Dago, the Chu Mainam Jay, May not so that in Banda, Mount Survey, Jisu, Maname, Datana, Shobe, Konamji, Toma Tunda, Mambo Jabian, Mapo, Jesu. Yana Juda Chibi, Yogum Manubi, Tama May got the state. Mate Chakizaba, Chunum Chimbo Pabi, Yana Jurbe, Jichung Ya, Chula Mare, some the Tone, Choki, Chone, Yala, Chanto, Pone, Narkis, Pebik, Zomanami, Nonshobe Guna, Yansen, he lost me, reporting, and Mendera Shentos, Jabe Chira, Tone, Mende, Hookin on Zok. Send your numbers, Sangi in between Kilama in between Zechu, Chuba Tope Dai, to like one tip to you, Chira, Chetan Shawa, Wondabat, Konachu Chibi, Yunam Drabi, teaching Kuba short days. But then Jitu Kenyanda, pay you Kama short base, Yeranta Pokum Jerboju, but then Jitu Nyamba Toba, yang tsebe tseba chorto stra var kube tseba chorto stra var lo tsare.
Yeah. So the Jetsun Milarepa was observing silence at the Katya cave at Nishang Mountain in Munyun, while remaining in the yoga of continual river flow. At that time, there were several hunters who had come from Nishang who happened upon Milarepa. Seeing him observing silence and sitting there with a gaze, they had some apprehensions and became afraid. After a moment, they all fled. Then later they returned, aiming their bows at Milarepa. They said many things to him like, "Are you a human or a ghost? If you are a human, then you must be just mocking us." But the Jetsun remained silent, maintaining his gaze. The hunters first shot many poison arrows at Milarepa, but none of them pierced him. Then they tried to throw him into a ravine, but they were unable to move his body. They surrounded him with fire, and though the fire burned, Milarepa's body was not scorched. Then they threw his body over a cliff down to a great river at the base of the rock, but the Jetsun remained in the lotus posture. Then, without touching the water, he hovered above it and moved back up the center of the river. He flew all the way back up again to where he had been sitting before, all the while remaining silent. All of them, amazed, went back to their village and announced to everyone how there was such a man in a mountain cave. Milarepa overheard them and said, "Among them, this yogi of Tibet is truly excellent. He's my guru. All of his conduct and activities are signs that he is a genuine siddha. He can even make animals meditate." Then he told the story of how Milarepa got his deer and dog to meditate and how he himself became a Dharma practitioner. From that, everyone there developed faith and respect. The fame of the Jetsun came to fill all of the land of Nepal. There was a king of the Nepali cities of Yerang and Kokom who, when he heard of the Jetsun, also became amazed and developed faith and respect.
Oh, yeah, thanks. Oh, then it is a program to make a jitu to make salon then what choosing zona no be Kashika Reo Agar Namjas Pebo Hocho Nishan got a report to Hojin Angels statue chances by show you better that Puja Chima Tonchi Mondro Banjoro, she long demic. Jabo, Jam Hokishi by Shay, don't make it jitu Jede Jitu Kitse Low Tamadan Zechu Tamji Ton Teba and was Teba Chone, Pecher Mela. 你把都可能我家他出把些起过咱们过去说起给吃饭是东西没把都没用啊有几看样没把吃不把这有区别去就或者我或者没他的把这边那就有几没别东啊没都不怕的了有种人我那种说上他嘛老是的罗军那么多
And so then one day Tara said to the king in a prophecy, "The Kashika cloth and all victorious Aurora herb that are in your treasury should be taken and offered to the great Tibetan yogi, a great 10th level bodhisattva who is residing now at Katya Cave in the southern mountains of Nepal in Nishang. This will have great significance for this and future lives." The king sent a man who spoke the language of Tibet to investigate the situation. And the man came to meet the Jetsun. He saw by the Jetsun's conduct how he had completely abandoned the concerns of this life and was amazed. Developing faith, he thought, "This is probably Milarepa. However, I must make sure." "Lama, who are you? What's your name?" he asked. "You have nothing to eat or drink. Doesn't this cause you to suffer? What is the reason for having no belongings whatsoever?" The Jetsun replied, I who am called Milarepa of Tibet am a yogi." Then he sang the song of realization on the reason for how he did not suffer while having no belongings.
真的嘛，那么像这种，我们那里拍，经常弄烂多半米，上升测试没去，长波中就东岸米，或者中就东岸米，他妈条件东岸米，那每天的，经常年跟多半米，全都或者蛮些的，长波甚至东岸米，或者看两东岸米，他妈这边东岸米，全都的不没讲的，经常开着没多久。开着图书蛮这边，长波做着东岸米，或者下开东岸米，他妈娘的托换米。当年的个没讲米，经常到越南多半米，多少年是嘛这边，他们穷的东岸米，或者有些东岸米，他们我从东岸米多少年把米把来，米的来是我打的，我他妈老想那样子。
Kur Tamara.
对，过什么？
So then the song is like this. Yeah, lot of time. Yeah. So this is the song. Lord Guru, I prostrate to you. I am called Milarepa. These days I have no desire for wealth. I don't make any provision of material things. First, I have no suffering of amassing and hoarding. In the middle, I have no suffering of protecting what I have. In the end, I have no suffering of attachment and clinging. I have nothing, and having nothing is excellent. These days, I have no desire for friends or companions. I don't seek to be surrounded by affection and love. First, I have no suffering of focusing on others. In the middle, I have no suffering of hostile replies. In the end, I have no suffering of parting. Having no affectionate and loving companions is excellent. These days, I have no desire for profit and fame. I don't seek to hear any pleasantries. First, I have no suffering of striving for it. In the middle, I have no suffering of it abating. In the end, I have no fear of its decline. I'm happy with no pleasantries said about me. These days, I have no desire for a country. I don't seek out any certain place to stay. First, I have no suffering of taking sides. In the middle, I have no suffering of craving for my country. In the end, I have no suffering of trying to please others. Having no certain place to stay is excellent.
真的写上边课提醒，节目中就听，没那这盘的当都过写到就节拍不节目样，提前口个确实，没那这讲从多说，没中呢，对你普些那个热上阿个那节目的基础，接触科工节目，科工他也让个节目就把这个，做个简单做单位个全国去，yes。我他就真的假如他的人都什么马上假如去假如我特别见他这两图片那嘛两长说，可是这样图片嘛那他热的他阿鲁拉提不会说啥呢？我这么在哪里是没提个，他要从出家这像点点学科，那就是他嘛偏不来是学的是，那就像点点学常识，偏不来学的可能你就接人啊，从有说。现在我们这切拍的山东长龙区，山东切拍的节目，我们这山东龙区上部安多半米，秋季把了，杭州多这些呗，别当场了玉米呗，节目点别那么，每天那么好了，俺说咱们这个些，做把了，们说出老了，我真的我家人从北去运作，我自己没事，他话是节目才我这都没都是，谁样他们样子，给我要不他那给我没事，秋季的某些些上那不是要买的也是，那就要买的是。我这节目在学习那是那没送出进入给这种说啥子去，我这是送这是，真的说咱们这个干些啊，做咱们就就让老送说，咱俺们这个说咋个，这边没看样子，啥就让老送这是，我真的可那这节目去，做去没接那部分，没接刚做的我嘛，起码查看，社会的最先的俺样可能就是节目的嘛，因为俺的基本上真清楚，可去啦这是的，节目没这个。啥那他人不，其他人点点去当然是，或者其他人送的样子是，就就没人俺可能就是节目意思，我可能就是节目意，俺的第啥子的，全部出破，俺然节目没这啦不是，这个开始呢，可能节目呢，就是卡拉乌，就是那对卡拉乌是其实就卡拉乌是属于这就前几天去接龙就是的， 좀那结果确的做吧些，这些工作这些用完呢，我前几天被解释，那应该在中间呢，我结果确的就是吧，就是做做个类似，当过的种类似。
And so then the man returned to the king and offered a thorough report. And then the king said that if you cannot invite him to come here, then go back and offer him the Kashika cloth and the Aurora herb. And so with that, he sent the man off again. And then when the servant met the Jetsun again, he said to him that the Dharma king of Koko Mandyarang has sent me to invite you. You must go. And Milarepa said, and generally when I go to towns, I don't try to please others. And in particular, I don't try to please kings. I have no desire for at all for the material enjoyments of food and drink. There are no stories of Dharma practitioners starving to death. So, in fact, going to meet the king would go against what Marpa of Lodrak had commanded of me, so I won't go. So you may go back to where you came from. And the man said, I've come here a long way for the express purpose that the great king has summoned you. Wouldn't it be better for you to come? And Milarepa said, I am also a great king. I'm a Chakravartin king. There is no king who is happier than me. There's no king who has more riches than me or more power than me. And then the man replied, so if you possess the 7 royal possessions of a Chakravartin king, then show them to me. And if you're worldly king with the Milarepa said, if your worldly king with his retinue and ministers also obtained a dominion such as mine, he would be truly a supreme king. He would have wealth and power in this life and the next. So then he sang this song of realization.
人气的心都被加隆了，没那这边就是人江南的去工作的，没那这边，没那就是在那里，特别苦劳人不起，人家给为了一那边人不起，说人家估计来话我出钱怎么人不起，绕到这边经济是3天人不人不起，说那么一些从那种体育人不人不起，上届这边普遍呢，中途大学人不起，你们当面有时期，托上马工人不起，我说这也不能。去解释那样的点，这部被他插话说，没去确的，那么讲，吃饱给去累了就没就是身体没溜吧，这部我也搞着说，我担心过什么说，这解释那就没来的别解释那就咱这里拉多，公平后头就是我意思说是吧
？So then Milarepa sang this song of realization, explaining how he was the real king and how he did really possess the 7 royal possessions. So this is the song. Your king and ministers who wish for happiness, if they protect a dominion like the Yogi Milarepas, then in this life and the next, they'll have prosperity. This is what Milarepa's dominion is like. Faith is my precious wheel. I engage in virtuous action day and night. Wisdom is my precious jewel. It fulfills the hopes of everyone, self and other. Discipline is my precious queen. She adorns me with her ravishing beauty. Meditative concentration is my precious minister. He gathers the 2 accumulations of merit and wisdom. Heedfulness is my precious elephant. It carries the great load of the Buddha's teachings. Diligence is my precious supreme horse. It carries the afflictions to the land of egolessness. Hearing and contemplation is my precious general. He subjugates the army of the enemy, wrong thinking. If you had dominion like this, you would gain the renown and glory of a king. Always victorious over unfavorable conditions, your subjects would be incited to virtuous action. Mother sentient beings without any left out, may you fulfill this king's command.
我写从可那里在去了去，都被我查起，做起讲们做那节目肯定你目前都现在开始搞个这场， 아르라 남자리 차도 근데 지수 뭐와도 만남지는 시에소스 어떻게
And so then the envoy said, "This is the way of Dharma, how wondrous. Yogim, if you will definitely not come, the king has said to offer you these two things." Then he offered him the Kashika cloth and the all-victorious Aurora herb. The Jitsun accepted the offerings with dedications and aspiration prayers.
我提前的胸膛，西宫北把你结束简单的新北结束自己嘛就吧，你想当北部去切换那么头呢准备差不多北，对面做肯定把满就西北跟做肯定现在做去是吧？因从头点讲没配，但从头点讲没配，没在去没切呗，让了切的简从不往，可我们这不见没中国些有，切呗年把钱的东西呗，但呢是接触去，接触去，지수치 이제네 가시가 레스고라 소 아르라 남자 돌렵지 기된 차네 도코네 레총 레파니 지수 차 분에 공감대 안시 주비 지수 시에네가 데베키데로 데다니 인소네 거는 소스 어ත네 다 디가나 다 지수소 디가나 레총다 시공 레파니 지수소 데네슈가 레아레스 용레스 용도 네발레 다 차화스 도강 공인 초로시 아주 많죠. 내조를 이제 내조서는 내마다 지금은 좋다가 대한 소매 마색도 같은 일도 원세 고게스 제로 된대시나 매페를 선정 고게스 라브스 그 공통면 바디 당하 소티 내조 때는 그 공통 대안스 된두 되게 주게 사례제 지주고라 做 어ත네 아르라 도제 강샤 이 효디도 세지수치 공통되고 인베들이 치소되고 인베스 공되고 인베 이노 그거 같은 거 송송스
So at this time, Rejungbam and Chingung came to visit Milarepa, and they both had come to invite Milarepa back to Tibet, since he was in Nepal. But they were unable to track down Milarepa. However, they encountered some bandits who reported to them there's this Milarepa, Yogi Milarepa, who not even a poisonous arrow can strike, fire cannot burn him, and so forth. He even refused the invitation of the great king of Koko. When they so then the two rebels offered the bandits a gift and asked them to show them where Milarepa was. And then when they met with Milarepa, they saw he was wearing the Kashika cloth and had placed the all-victorious Aurora herb on a flat rock. And the two rebels made prostrations to the Jetsun and asked, "Have you been well?" And Milarepa replied, "I am well, and this is the way in which I'm well." So he sang then this song of realization.
没错，那所基本有钱人开始基本做，前面那所做备有这几样才中嘛，对的，每年的几个人把人把的，那么就把光把的，然后这种把把的，就用么，出去让着是，马上出把让啥的，我现在买没事，破完嘛，我们上去，把都就去我们的，上面的钱就印了就，现在这边，还干啊，信托性嘛，写就有这些程度。通知了什么的，可把济南小朋友就那我些类似的，那没这些朝上的宗教东西，回来呢，让就推了这我们工作东西回来呢，什么些呢，这上去他也都些回来呢，应届节呢，这上去先接公平回来呢，我他就是没来给他公园的杂新不同的这里地，他那路去路子你们去。我现在暂时去，我是没去趟还回去，现在出下花头嘛算了。我在开始投诉呢，我去来一张不认识，我过去呢，我现在那边的查看地方我们来现在宗教是帮过认识，我让就对头那我有嘛来现在工作是帮过认识，先我自己写上呢，我在这我有嘛来那什么是要我在过认识，我在人家讲那这我有嘛来现在。先切公布的是大的，先切有了才公布的送的是，我。
And so then Milarepa sang this song, and so he said that he has been very well practicing in a very holy place, practicing the 6 yogas of Milarepa, and he inquired about those bandits. And he asked, did those bandits not overtake you? And if so, you should contemplate your previous karma. When you have no wealth, you're free of enemies. Abandon hoarding and maintaining. If you tame your mind streams, you will be free of enemies. And also, if you give rise to compassion, you will be free of enemies. Therefore, meditate on cherishing others.
This is member Kona Demba, the Gajor Yamba, Name Gadizaba, Najor Sanam Yote, the truth to Jiba, Prota Yonte Sanrum, member Demba, the Najor Capatui, the Chinam, the truth, sometimes they say she rooms. Well, then he won't repeat that. Jitu Jad, the Che Mambo, the Waters of Yapo, Sina, China Hurchon, some Chaton, the Chiro, she's a furious. You know, it's not the truth, the young some Chaton rabs this. My pool and roach horse, Hina, Nami Gadizabia, Tom. Nenjorang say Yamna Yuntan Conspria or remember the end, kitchen bodies, Yamto and some jiggers, or they remember the end kitchen bodies, Yamto and two Namana, maybe standing, Nenjor but window is on what then Chinam, some of the words, and was on this.
And so then Shingon said to Milarepa, it is because a yogi like the Jetsun has this way of being happy and free of enemies that we have come to invite you to return. Please come back to Tibet and benefit sentient beings there. And Milarepa said, in fact, staying here in mountain retreats is the greatest benefit to sentient beings. I can return to Tibet, but my remaining in strict solitude like this is not bad for my virtuous activity, as it repays the kindness of my guru's command. So then all of the good qualities of a yogi's path, bhumis, arise in mountain retreats. Even if one has the good qualities of the science of experience, it is the heroic pride of a yogi to rely on solitary places. Therefore, you should remain in strict retreat in the mountains. So then he sang this song of realization.
Jelaman Gaji Mankorban Roa Mazi and Robas Mazi, but Nato Benjeva, Jisum Poma Mala, the Toto Ningse Chanke Chanke Janjon Kakar, the Chiang Mama Tarva Reva Mai, the Rabajet Namji Pasui, Toya Damo Nazian, Tojan Rasha Maza, Gui Uba Mai, Jason Jabu, Jason Chibu Pasui, Nobji Sinjam Kanmot, Tanya Kana Manjeva, Rosami by Mai, the Churon Jabu Pasui, Shaji Chajar Gopos, Yorotana, Tansha Chubat, Tunji Soba Mai Napa, Chuba, Napa Juba, Pasui, Milarepa, Gumsan, Digan Chaba, Thomas, Rondo Keja. Mai, Shimba, another Rosai, Tamchi Chori, Najor, member the Chumba, Tuna, Tuji Toba, Chotoji, Namtari, the sort of Gajan got some Taba, Mepondo, Mai, Tarva, Robe, Lamke, Ganda Namla, Ganda Namla, Ganda Tepa, Jana, Dama, remember, Chejumiba, Jubandi, Chasoris, or that is something worth being or in romance. Or so to Lando, Milarepa, Gomjado, Gomja, and Disanchavas, but low down the Yate, May and Archimbo, chief mines, now Shembalo, the star is, or the some those like Kumashia, the Bombochin, there is mines, Gojeta, Talamdro, and Namtano, it's a Velamdro, Namtaris, what you know, the Londo.
And so then in the next song, it consists of various examples But Milarepa explains why he is in retreat. And so he says, the reason for me being in retreat is not to gain, because I care about praise and fame, but it is a natural sign of having revulsion or renunciation to samsara. And being in mountain retreat, therefore you disciples should gather here and follow a strict mountain retreat. This is not because it's the desire of a human master. It is the story of traversing the path to freedom. So then Rinpoche said, please accept me that I may practice these. Jetsun, your appearance is not like that of other humans. Who is it that offered this excellent cloth and aurora to you? It was offered by the God of men, he replied. And then he sang this song of realization.
Yarang kogum jarsan meje sata jarbo chujar changcho semba jisu jurme non pebo gada repo pupar Milarepa jenra nga chibe jene machi pebo chuje jarbo shimere khar shimere ganjam regonde domo ashi chosu namjar aru manjo nyuje ne je nyembo saye da ho yuchon den roba lodu ni ta ches wata ma lo shana da.
And so this is the song. In the capital of Yerang and Kokom lives a king and lord of men. Because the Jetsuntara gave a prophecy to this Dharma king, a bodhisattva, Milarepa received his invitation at the Katya cave in Nepal. But for fear of death, I did not go. Thus the Dharma king of Nepal bestowed upon me this soft white cotton garment as a companion for my Ashe Chandali. He bestowed this supreme, all-victorious Aurora herb, the antidote for sickness of the elements. In the land here of that king, all beings for 7 years will be free of sickness. And so then, that's right.
Jitu singde ke na sen na ringe ko mo long ju chen ka ke melon sei baran ta nam ka la tem sons tem ton ne chonong ko be se ya jitu seni ma ni ma chome jitu singe la chem ne go la te chen ta ra fe chou chen go la me to chen ma je je ni ma da we ko su chong do tang jan cha na de chong be ta nam ka la yi ba tong tong we la ma ni seni la ki ma le se mo yu kong kong je bon chou jin seni me la da we che New Coros, what has
And so then the two rappers said, you did not come here for the sake of the eight worldly concerns, but still we ask you to please return to Tibet and benefit beings there. And so because of their request, Milarepa went and he stayed in Nyeyun cave at the confluence of Lapchi. And so this Nyeyun cave, Nyen Yun, the Nyen means ear and Yun means left. So Nyen Yun is the left ear, and it refers to the left ear of Chakasambhara, which is a holy site where actually also His Holiness Chaitanya Rinpoche did a retreat for about 6 months while in the area of Lapchi. So then, while Milarepa was staying there, Tseringma came and investigated the Jetsun. As he was enjoying a girl of a low class in the acacia forest, he saw Tseringma in a white silver mirror. Then he saw him vanish into space. She saw him vanish into space. The next year, when Milarepa was staying in Chonglung, Tseringma again came to investigate the Jetsun. She saw him there riding on a lion with ashes and rakta smeared on his body and wearing a garland of flowers upon his head. For clothing, he wore the sun and moon. In his hand, he held a parasol and a victory banner. When she approached, she saw him vanish into the sky, and so she was not able to attack him. This is the cycle of Kokom King making an offering in Mönül and a brief account of Tseringma's investigation for attack.
단들이 마을 세링마 아주 말라 쳐봤네. 그거랑 거만 모여라 단들이 마을이 단들이 이제라. 저는 가능서 답해체 지지밀린 거면 남고를 체크하자. 손도 다 체크해 주셔도. 저는 다들 있어 검자 수치라 주문도 와서 나 하시라고 했습니다. 어떻게 있었어요? 검자고
So then the next song is on the 5 Tseringma sisters, and it's quite lengthy, so we continue next time. And now we are approximately halfway through the Milarepa songs. We have not been doing so much meditation these days, also because there are just so many songs. But now we are going to do a brief meditation.
Jambara Babo Chetara Chemba Tang Gundu Sambu Tiyan Tijin De Teda Gunji Jisu Dalo Gewan De Da Tamchi Rabdu Mo Shija Gunze Gunchen Shuji Je Den De Nila Wang Tu Triong Rinchen Barje Den Bazente Ye Ro Tusan Gombe Zi Jorji Otene Tuje Che Otene Tata Tsaso Tene Tata Takoji Martina Zi Logos.
So thank you everyone. We finished for today, and I'll see you next week.
That's all, Rinpoche.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ida. Thank you, Rinpoche.
Yes.
Thank you. Gracias. Gracias. Thank you.